Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome to the commentary track for every episode of SpongeBob Season 8 reviewed. One of my Patreon goals was to reach a certain amount of money, and I would do a commentary track for Season 8, and we reached it, so here I am. You'll notice the video is sped up a little bit just because I don't have quite an hour and 45 minutes worth of stuff to talk about, but trust me, I do have a lot to say in terms of behind the scenes, starting with this right here. Believe it or not, when I got really late into production, I ran into what I wasn't sure would be an issue. I was like, oh no, is this going to be a problem? Turns out the way I had made the slides this season meant that I would have to flip the PyCons. And I think I did this a lot more back when I had the older PyCons, but with the newer ones, and by newer I mean like they're a year old now, I don't know that I flip it very often, so it was just weird seeing them flipped, and I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna like redesign the slides here with like, like a few days left until this video gets uploaded? And I'm like, no, I can't do that. So I flipped the PyCons here because usually they face the other way. I flipped them and I worked on it a little bit, and after a while I was like, you know what? Maybe this might bother some people, but the video is really long and it's not that big a deal. So yeah, so after a little while I got adjusted to it, and I think almost no one cared or noticed or anything. The one problem that I ran into with that was, you saw a little bit ago, the Mr. Krabs face, the dollar signs were facing backwards, and I was like, oh, should I fix this? Yeah, I'll fix it. So I had to go in and fix it, and it wasn't too bad because I just fixed it in Photoshop and it auto corrected in the video editing. Back there I say Doodle Bob instead of Frakin' Doodle, and some people were getting on my case for that, but it's like, the thing pops up at the bottom to correct me. If I went in and recorded a new line, that would sound a bit off, and it just roll with it. You know what episode I'm talking about, and the little thing pops up at the bottom there. So yeah. Although I guess, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it now, maybe the problem was more the fact that I put it in the fun fact. That is the episode's called Doodle Bob. Yeah, wow, I just realized that. Yeah, that's one of the things. The hardest part about all of this is just that there's so much to juggle. You look at this and you're like, all right, well, what is this? Just a picture? I had my artist draw, a few different pictures for the backgrounds, and then a picture for each episode, and I just inserted a bunch of text, right? Like, that doesn't look like a lot to make this slide, you wouldn't think. But the problem really comes in balancing. Ooh, I'll talk about the SpongeBob transition soon. But the problem really comes in balancing all of it, right? Like dealing with 47 of these slides. Technically, I guess 48 with Patchy. And then each of these slides have a before SpongeBob slide and an after, before rating slide and after rating slide with like the rating on top. Just juggling all of it, it's hard to, not make some mistakes somewhere because there's just so much. I spell check and I check and I check and I check, and I have Patreon people check for me, and it's just, at the end of the day, you just kind of have to accept that there's always just going to be at least one or two mistakes, and if it's just clerical mistakes, like, again, you know what Doodle Bob is, you just kind of have to accept that. Yeah, the other Patty, the best frenemy is, like, it's so similar. It's so similar. And the other Patty just doesn't bring much to the table. I won't be talking too much about the episodes themselves, more about the reviews in general. Let's see, what do I want to talk about now? I really like how that picture came out, that SpongeBob version of the picture there. My artist, Erin, draws all the pictures, but I often do the SpongeBob variants, and that was one that I did, and I don't know, I thought it came out pretty well. Drive-through, little fun thing about this is I like where I put the drive-through window in the season picture. I put it by the A. Actually, I wasn't sure what exactly I should do about that little drive-through drawing, because you get these pictures that are like, it's connected to the wall, so what exactly do I do? And I just kind of, what's it called? did a brush tool, to just kind of have feather the edges to soften it. Yeah, Drive Through was one of those episodes that when I first watched it, I'm like, what is this? I don't know about this. But there was just a lot of those little moments of especially Squidward just being snarky, that the episode just really, really grew on me. This was also one of those things where I was like, how do I spell drive through? Like, the episode spells it like that, but should it be drive THROUGH? Should I put a dash? And I did put a dash in the description. It's just little stupid things like that I spend a lot of time thinking about, like, what is the correct grammatical way to do this? Let's see. Oh, the hot shot. So yeah, this was another episode that really kind of grew on me. I liked it from the start, but I liked it more and more as it went on. Just a really cool, chill episode. One of the anecdotes from my artist, she hated drawing boatmobiles. She had to draw a ton of boatmobiles this season, and other vehicles, like this one here. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what other ones she drew. I guess I'll talk about it now. So the slide layout, where you see Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's rings there, originally that was going to be the invisible boatmobile. Now, I wasn't entirely sure how that was going to play out. I was thinking I would make it like semi-translucent and put an outline around it, but I don't know. It just didn't look right. But anyway, my artist had to draw a boatmobile for that I didn't end up using for that. So that's another boatmobile. And boatmobiles are kind of annoying to draw because there's like a lot of little details, like the little fan on the end there. But eventually I got the idea. I was like, you know what, why not the rings from Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 1? Which weirdly, the B and the M, that's like that in the episode. Barnacle Boy's is on the left and Mermaid Man's is on the right. I feel like that should be reversed. And originally I drew it, that was, the rings is actually one of those things that I made in Photoshop. And you can tell because it's like smooth, just perfect squares, and then kind of tilted in Photoshop. Similarly, I did the orb as well, except for the little switch on it. But yes, a friendly game. This is just one of those, like, so many this season that were just like, like, I think I spent the longest, like, not the longest time. Well, maybe, I don't know. I spent a long time coming up with ratings for the episodes. I don't want to say it's the most time consuming thing I did, but like, for season 8 in particular, there's just a lot of stuff that just hedges towards the middle. Like, when an episode is like really good, I come away from it and I'm like, all right, that's good, and it's easy to know it's good. When an episode's really bad, I come away, oh, that's awful, it's SpongeBob. And when an episode's kind of like this, where it's meh and close to in the middle, it's like, all right, well, I gotta look at it a little more carefully and try to decide, well, does it belong in the good category? Does it belong in the SpongeBob category, or should it just stay in the meh category? And that's one of those things that I do take a long time to really deliberate and think, and try to figure out what rating I want to give it. There you see one of the square theory things pop up. I thought it was nice to put those in where relevant with little annotations and stuff. It's nice to do little things like that. Sentimental Sponge is another one that, like, it fluctuated. I'm like, is this good? Is this eh? And I mean, what I came to realize with a lot of season 8 was that, like, it's not like I wanted to call this like a good story, but like, it's not even really a good story. It's a good idea. It's a good premise. It's a good set piece. But like, beyond that, I mean, what is it? What is this story? How interesting is it? Well, not really that interesting. SpongeBob just collects everything and then they tell him he can't, and then that's it. But I did really like the Squid nightshirt being addressed. I'm sorry. I'll try to make myself not repeat, these things. So talking about the header, I really liked, I don't know, the idea of Mermaid Man's belt really struck me. That was just like, all right, I gotta do that for the header, and I'll put the M on there. And I guess, like, what's iconic about Barnacle Boy? Not too much, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe I could have done something from when he was evil, or I could have done his goggles or something, but I decided to go with the hat. And the background, if you are wondering, as a lot of people were, it is a gradient of the, well, now it's something different, but it was a gradient of the orange and red, which are Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's colors. It's not entirely clear that it's both of their colors, but I think that looked better than if I had tried to do like half one color and half the other. But speaking of slides, this is the first of many. This was one I'm really happy with. Overall, I'm really happy with the slide layouts of like the specials this season. Throwing Gary in there on the end, the shell from season 7 was like a last minute like, I'll throw it in, good idea type thing. Yeah, the background of this was just a gradient because like all my good winter ideas were taken up in the other winter themed SpongeBob special this season. But yeah, I was like, why not draw all the sleighs? And I guess this is part of the boatmobile glut that my artist was lamenting over, even though these are more sleighs. Always questioning what to do about things like the little jellyfish on SpongeBob's sled. Like, oh, should I not include them? Should I just make them transparent or semi-transparent? Should I just have them as is? But ultimately, I usually go with semi-transparent, so you can still see they're there, but it's ultimately a lot easier to read the text on them. When it came to Frozen Face Off, the monster, like I wanted to do something with the monster in terms of the art, but like how exactly we do that, I don't know. I was like, well, I can't just ask my artist to like make that out of clay. That'd be like way too much. And so I don't know. We kind of came up with this idea of like it'd be kind of almost like a wanted poster type sketch with a lot of cross hatching, and that sort of thing. And I think it looks cool because it's, you know, it's different. You could tell that there's kind of a three-dimensionality to it, and there's something to it. I wish I had the budget, and I wish I could just like, you know, make the monster or whatever. But like that, seriously, that monster looks really good in the episode, and even if I had tried, it would not have looked anywhere near as good. So decided to go with something a little more artistically interesting. Okay, Squidward School for Grown-Ups. Here's one of the little things I did here with a little fading there. So if you're wondering, the birth of Venus, she's topless, so that's the joke in this episode. If you didn't catch that, that when SpongeBob smudges it, he like censors her. Yeah, this is one of quite a few episodes that kind of feature Patrick that I guess are kind of controversial in that either you find it funny or you don't. Although, interestingly enough, in this episode, it really wasn't Patrick that I found to be too funny. I don't know. It kind of did work out perfectly where that first half I wasn't feeling. But then, like, SpongeBob singing opera, like, how can you really go wrong with that? That just sounds like a kind of funny and interesting thing. I tried to find if that was an actual opera song, like like they were parodying something specific, but I couldn't actually figure it out. Oral Report. Now this is a relatively controversial one, and I had a feeling it would be this one and in Spongiac, just because they're so similar in style. But like Patrick helping SpongeBob is either going to be seen as a funny joke or something that's frustrating. There seems to be very little in between. You either love it or you hate it. And I mean, I guess I say that, but I guess I don't love it so much as I think it's fine. But yeah, I can see how that would be a deal breaker for some. It just didn't happen to be for me in this one. What else to talk about? I have a few other topics, but I want to wait for like specific things to come up on the screen before I talk about them. I guess going back to the slide layout, it was cool to see that basically I have something from the rings are from Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 1, the conch there is from Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 2, the Orb of Confusion is from Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 3, the belt is prominently featured in Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 4, and then the Murmurang is from Shuffleboardin'. So I've got a nice mix of episodes. Nothing's from like no two from the same episode. But it was kind of tough coming up with Mermaid and Barnacle Boy stuff. Also, something interesting about that Murmurang is that it's different from the one that was the picture in season 7 or 6. I cannot remember some of those episodes. I will not ever be able to try to remember whether they're 6 or 7. But from Shuffleboardin', that is a different Murmurang. I asked my artist to draw it a little fatter so I could fit more text on there. Sweet and Sour Squid. I wish they had just toned down that clarinet playing. I wish it had been muffled when Plankton puts in his earplugs. I wish that would just have been really nice because yeah, the story was off to a great start. But it really hurts me. I guess while I'm thinking about the PyCons, I used almost every single PyCon that I had available. I think the only ones I didn't use were some of the character ones, just because I couldn't fit them in. Although I did sneak a few characters in there. Hey, there's one. I did sneak a few non-SpongeBob characters in interesting moments. But other than that, I used pretty much every other PyCon I had available, and there's a lot of them. There weren't any that premiered in this video, unfortunately. But because I used like all of them, you got to see some of the lesser used ones, like the devil and the flaming hair one and the really angry one. You got to see those a few times, and I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't ask my artist to do any more because I knew she already had a lot of work with all of these episodes, pictures, and it's getting to be a bit of a hassle to put these PyCons in as it is, and the more I add, the more difficult it is. But I think I'll try to have at least a few more for season 9A. Hey, there's the devil. Ah, okay, now I can talk about it. That SpongeBob transition. Nobody could figure out what it was from, what it was based on. Well, first of all, let me say that the scum here, like that you see around the base, that's based on like just nothing whatsoever. Thing is, season 8 didn't really have anything scum related. Like season 5 had Fungus Among Us. Season 6 had oh gosh, I'm blanking on season 6. Season 6 had something, and you know what it is. Well, Pet or Pest, that's right. Yeah. Season 7 had all the goo from the miniseries, but season 8 here just didn't really have much of anything, so I just kind of had to come up with a pattern, like I did with season 4 before I even came up with the idea of like theming it off something. Anyway, the transition itself, it is based off of It's a SpongeBob Christmas, the jerkification sequence. Now, here's the thing. The reference picture I used when I was making this up was from the very first transformation you see, one of the first townsfish that does it. However, every townsfish after that gets transformed does not use the same transition. That green mist with like little white dots. That's used for the first one, none of the rest of them. I didn't realize that it wasn't used for the rest of them. So when I made it, I thought it would be kind of a little obscure, but not super obscure. But then afterwards, like, crud, like none of the rest of them use it. So that's why that is like that. The spinny thing, that's the what are they? The Christmas lights that they use in the episode. It's meant to emulate that. That's the idea. I'm sorry it's a little too obtuse. I don't blame anyone for not getting it, but that's the idea. It's the jerktonium mist type thing. SpongeBob Family Vacation. This was a, if you can tell. So that's where that's where one of the invisible boatmobile. What was originally going to be the invisible boatmobile. That's where it ended up as the vacation thing with the two luggage things, suitcases, from Krusty Towers. I just repurposed them, and I thought that served as a nice symbol for vacation. Yeah, so this was, if you can tell, this was a slide layout that I made up entirely myself. It's all drawn by me. That's why it looks a little bit derpy in terms of the vines. I couldn't really think of entirely what to do for this episode. The road sign was kind of obvious, and that is a road sign if you couldn't tell. I meant it was obvious for me to do, not that it was necessarily obvious for you to tell what it was, but that's a road sign. And then the other things are like these weird platforms in the Bikini Bottom jump. I don't even know. I still don't even know where they were. I thought they were at the Great Barrier Reef. I thought that was going to be the big reveal, but nah. This and Ghoul Fools. Those two episodes were episodes that I did not like, but had kind of a difficult time trying to figure out why I didn't like them. Like, I knew I didn't like them. Like, I came away not liking them. It's not a case of like like, oh, I'm neutral on them, but I'm trying to come up with reasons why I don't like them. No, the way it works is that if I come away from an episode not liking it, I kind of have to play detective and try to figure out why I didn't like it. And in the case of this episode, I think it is just the disjointed nature of it all, and the stuff like the filler at the beginning and how it's not really about a vacation, and just the non-danger that SpongeBob and Patrick are put into. It's just so hard, and thinking back on the episode, like, I can't even remember specifics. I just remember, like, all right, well, there's the stupid intro. They're in the car breaks down. They're at the playground. They fall down a slide, and they're in the wilderness. And it's just from there, I just can't remember. Something about they sing the road song again, and it just, So yeah, there's that. I wonder how much longer this is going to go on for, because I don't have anything else to say about SquarePants Family Vacation. I would have really loved to see something about SpongeBob's parents. Like, that's just completely underdeveloped aspect of the show that they could easily make like 5 episodes about SpongeBob and his parents. Like, does his mother baby him? Does his father want him to play sports? Like, you know, they could do so many things. Also, I didn't mention it in the review, but for some reason his father is a little, like, snarky. I don't know why. They don't give them personalities too much. Anyway, Patrick's Staycation. Yeah. Yeah, this was another one where I came away not liking it. I'm like, well, why is that? And a lot of people don't like this episode because they don't like Patrick, but my problem is just more that Patrick doesn't care. And it's not that Patrick's behavior irritates me. It's just like because of that one element, it's just like, why is this story even happening? Like, who cares? Why do I care? Why does SpongeBob care? Just who cares? It is also really random, the ending, like with Mr. Krabs. It's just, I like it. It's nice, but it's just like, why? I mean, Mr. Krabs makes a cameo earlier in the episode, but it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah, this one, yeah, I mean, if they had fixed that one small thing, it would have easily at least been a meh. You know, I think the episode still would have had to been a little more funny, but, yeah, just I don't know. It's also really just forgettable. Just a lot of bland stuff. There's that Mr. Krabs Pycon. So walking the plankton. This is another one of those pictures that I had to figure out what I wanted to do with. And this one I just kind of feathered the edges. And you'll notice each one of those little pictures on there they have drop shadows. So just to give them a little more depth, I started doing that. I think last season, maybe season 6. But that's why it kind of has that little weird effect, because it's the shadow mixing with the feathered image. The vacation dial was also something that I made. My artist did the vacation part, but I made the actual dial. Just whenever you see those like perfect shapes there, that's usually me. And when I say me, I mean in Photoshop. I can't draw. I can't draw worth anything. Man, I really, really wanted this to be an episode about pirates on the high seas. Watching Mr. Krabs and Plankton, like you know, swashbuckling and, you know, shooting cannonballs at each other, and Plankton's got, like, Karen, and I don't know, maybe he Shanghai's, like, I don't know, Larry the Lobster, or, like, just some random characters to be a part of his crew. Could be really fun. But, alas... Which is, you know, it's weird because, like, Mr. Krabs has the pirate aspect of his character, and he has the Plankton rivalry aspect of the character. You'd think it'd be an obvious episode to just merge the two, but, oh, well. Mooncation. Sorry there, I had to clear my throat. This is one of those episodes that, if it hadn't have been for the really interesting location, it probably would have gotten a meh, right? Because the comedy is meh-worthy. The story is, like, okay, but it's not great. But what really kind of makes it is that it is just that unique, you know, going to the moon, the way they decide to portray the moon, the kind of action-y elements in the episode. It is like just different enough to make it there. Like, this was one of those that I wasn't entirely sure of. Like, I was thinking, all right, maybe meh, but I came away from it and I'm like, you know what? I enjoyed that episode. Like, it is different. And it ended a good way. That I think that suit came out really well. The drawing that my artist did of Sandy's little suit out there. Okay. Mr. Krabs takes a vacation. Okay, so the story about this the mint there, the drawing. My artist drew this really small. I don't entirely know why. She just did. But one of the things that she did was that she drew it in a 3/4 kind of perspective, like. Like there was a the image itself, the original one, there's an overhang, like that outer rim there of the box for the mint. There's an overhang that the episode just covered up there. Oh, and but yeah, anyway, she drew it in like a 3/4 perspective, and I had to fix it in Photoshop. That story sounded a lot more interesting than it was, but I like wasted the whole slide talking about it. So yeah, there's this. This is something. Now, something I have to point out is that that right there, that fade transition from the Legends of the Bikini Bottom to this, that right there cost me so many hours trying to fix, right? When I originally did this for the Patreon people, the first upload I did, that slide, the transition was glitched. Like, it froze halfway through. So you could still see half the other image, even like 20 seconds after it was supposed to be gone. And it looked really bad. Why that happened? Well, there was a rendering error. Nothing at all that I could have like known about. It just happened in rendering. Like, in my actual editing software, it looked fine. But when I exported the video, as you do when you edit video, when I exported it, there was just a problem with it. And so I tried exporting it again. I'm like, all right, it must have just glitched, so I'm just going to export it again. That didn't work either. So that was another like 4 hours down the tube. And basically, between the time of the Patreon people pointing this out to me, I had like only like less than 24 hours before I had to get this video out to go to everyone. And so like that kind of big, stupid mistake that it's not even my fault. It's just the stupid video player decided to do on its own. The stupid video renderer or whatever, it cost me. So I re-rendered it, and it didn't work the second time, and that was like 4 hours re-rendering. So then I basically just did a stupid fix where I imported like the finished video, except I put like I don't even know how to explain this. I put the transition over it. I don't know. I had to do something stupid. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah, nothing I could have done. Just a fluke accident. Just a fluke random glitch. So, yeah, that was wonderful. Anyway, PIEGUYRULZ. This was another one of those slides that I'm pretty proud of. The background little thing was there's a French word for it. I can't remember it. But yeah, my artist drew that, and I made it into a neat little pattern there. Looks like the wallpaper. Some of those frames are just like default Photoshop frames. Some of them are kind of customized a little. The one thing that I kind of have regrets about with this, well, I don't know if I have regrets. I caught this very late into the production, like when I was just about to export, and I wasn't sure if I should fix it, and I decided not to. You can see just a little bit of the glow from that ship overlapping on the frame there. I don't think it looks bad, which is why I kept it. And, because the glow was kind of an afterthought. I kind of forgot to put in the glow, and I did it later. And then it just overlaps just a little bit, but it's not that big a deal. It's a magical ghost picture. It can overlap, sure. Especially when after the SpongeBob here. But yeah, this was another one like the road trip where like I just didn't like it. I just came away from it not liking it. And I can appreciate some parts of it, and I can kind of see why other people would like it, but just for me, it just didn't do it. Also, that's a neat little thing. In all the other SpongeBobs, I make them like the devil face. That one has the that one, the not patchy, Flying Dutchman face. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and this was also my justification for keeping the glow, is because I had the ship fall over here, and I was like, should I make the frame like change it to match it? And I'm like, nah, just have it like falling out of the frame. That kind of looks interesting. Yeah, this episode's so similar to Shanghai. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know why they keep going back to ghost pirates, and ghosts in general. Spoilers, there's another ghost episode in season 9. Okay, anyway, Mermaid Man begins. So this was the big Mermaid Man episode for this season, and some people were surprised that I didn't put this on my top 5. To be honest, it was number 6. Like, it just got edged out a little bit. But when I make my top 5 and bottom 5, it's a lot more of my gut feeling than like careful analysis. And the reason being just because at that point in the process of making the videos, I've just thought about these episodes so much and watched them so many times, and just like all I can really do is go with my gut. I can't spend more time thinking about it, or my head will explode. So my thought with those is just always just go with my gut, and then at a later date, I will make some more finalized top and bottom 5s. Like, I'll do a finalized top 10 and bottom 10 for groupings of seasons. Hey, there's the Rick face in there. Oh, that's not the funny one. The funny one is later. Well, not funny. I shouldn't say it's funny. It's just interesting, I suppose. It was cheeky to me, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so that's why that didn't make it in there. But if you consider it honorary number 6, and maybe it'd make it in the next time I'll do the list. I think really the reason why it didn't. Oh, there's the old man face. The reason why it didn't was ultimately just because even though I like this episode and I do like like all of it. The main selling point is only a short part of it. The rest of it is like good. It's not bad, but the the televised origin story was what really made it a great episode, and I had to kind of knock it down on the top 5 just because that was a small part of the episode. Anyway, Plankton's Good Eye, another one of those episodes that's just like, you know what? I wanted to call the story good, but no, the story isn't even good. Just the idea is good. That Neville quote is cute though. I don't actually know how many Karen quotes I've used in the past. I'm sure I've used at least 1 or 2, but she got at least 2 in this season. I know she also has the quote for not super aquatic, chum fricassee. She's also the quote there. But yeah, Karen is one of those things that definitely thrived in the later seasons. I guess before I talk about that, I want to talk about Plankton. I want to talk about that eye there. Well, I told my artist to draw Plankton's good eye, and she drew Plankton's eye, his normal eye. She didn't watch these episodes. This was the first season that I didn't want to put her through watching all these episodes with me. So she drew the other eye. So basically, I had to modify it to be SpongeBob's eye. Anyway, yeah, Karen is one of those few things that really does thrive in the post first movie era, whereas in the original 3 seasons, she appears like 6 times, and the first time she's like just a computer, and of those times, she never appears in a mobile form. I'm pretty sure. So it is nice that she has a character. She appears more than Mrs. Puff. She has appeared more than Mrs. Puff. So, and even though she doesn't get a lot to do all the time, she does have some of the funnier lines being really snarky. She's basically Plankton's Squidward, I guess. If she's the Squidward of the chum bucket. Anyway, Barnacle Face. Fun fact about barnacles. Originally, I was going to have the barnacles relate to the scum transition, but then, this was just in thought. It never got into the stages where there was anything drawn or anything. But, I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I hate barnacles. I do not want to watch barnacles roll across the screen and squirt barnacle juice into the viewers' faces. So I decided to just not do that. Pet Sitter Pat. Yeah, this is another one of those infamous ones. The fire there, that was me. I wasn't entirely sure how to do fire, what effect to put on fire. But I'm kind of happy with it. It's almost like magma. That's a gradient in there, and then it's got the outer glow of red, and it's kind of like sharp edges. I don't know. I thought it looked cool. Yeah. Let's see, what else to talk about? A lot of people are confused at what the fraction in the upper right-hand corner is. I guess I'm going to have to remind people every time. Or maybe I'll just put a little thing, under it that just says airing order, because it's the airing order. This episode aired 13th out of 47, so, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll release, these videos, but, in the airing order. I don't know, maybe that'd be really stupid. But yeah, there you go. If you're ever curious of, oh, was this early in the season, aired late in the season, whatever? Well, there you go. That's what that is. Hey, there's the Patrick jerky that shows up from time to time. Also, if you're wondering what's in back of that, the background of the 13 out of 47 there, that is a stripe that's on Man Ray's tickle belt. I don't know why it's there. Maybe it's actually a pocket, but if you look at pictures of the tickle belt, that's there. So yeah, if you're ever curious about that. Let's see, what else? I'm going on and on about Pet Sitter Pat. It's also funny that this episode comes so close to House Sitting for Sandy. Speaking of which, as I adjusted my chair and it makes stupid chair noises. Yeah, House Sitting for Sandy. I just don't have anything to say about this episode. Really, I think I said it all. I'm surprised no one has a definite reason for why SpongeBob wasn't wearing his helmet. I figured someone in the comments would be like, oh, well, actually, according to this, it was because blah, blah, blah. But no one in the comments has pointed that out so far. So I'm still not entirely sure what it is, but I guess that's mildly interesting. I don't know. Smooth jazz. I never talked about how the name of this episode. What is with that E? Is that some fancy jazz way to spell smooth? Is it just a fancy way to spell smooth in general? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. uh, but that is something that my spell checker caught multiple times. And, I was like, no, that's how it's spelled. I think I even saw someone point out that, like, trying to correct me that it's spelled smooth wrong. Nope, that's how it's spelled in the episode. So, yeah, there's that. I really like the music in this episode. It made me want to start listening to smooth jazz, and I just might, actually. I listened to a little bit of it. I listen to a lot of music while working on this season. I learned that editing is a lot more fun and goes faster if you're listening to music. And even if you're editing stuff related to audio, you could still have the music be really low. I mean, it depends. I don't know. I'm sure some people would get distracted. I didn't so much. It was just really nice. I listened to a lot of different things. But at one point, I did put on some smooth jazz. If you're wondering, I know this is kind of a random tangent. If you're wondering, I do come up with all of the episode synopsises myself. I don't just copy the synopsis that's like the standard one that, the cable companies have or whatever. I try to come up with my own that are interesting or weird or, succinctly state what the episode is about. I tried to have all of these be 2 lines, but that didn't work. There were a few that were just a few extra lines, but most of them are 2 lines. Just because that fits the best. Stop squeaking, chair. I love this chair, but man, it squeaks. Squeak, squeaker, squeak, squeakin'. There you go. I bet you didn't think I'd be referencing the Emperor's New Groove in this. Hey, there's the fire face. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? Yeah, this was one of those episodes that I knew was just like bottom 5 material. It's just frustrating, and it's like, Patrick, just why, man? Why? It's the exact same lame situation that we got in like the Splinter, where like Patrick isn't even like the main part of the episode. He doesn't really even have to do anything with anything. He just shows up just to be annoying. Like, honestly, if Patrick were only in the beginning of the episode where he originally eats Squidward's pass, okay, I could understand that, because Squidward did kind of shove that down his throat. Like, that might be a little irritating, but okay, sure. But the fact that he shows up again, that's just awful. Ugh. Booble Tribbles. This was another one I wasn't quite sure where to put it, because again, it does have this weird feel to it. But I can't, I can't help but laugh at just the absurdity of, like, Sandy sucking oxygen from Patrick, Mr. Krabs, and Pearl. I'm also a little conflicted on the joke with the oxygen tank. There's a joke where they're like, how are you going to get to the surface? Oh, with this oxygen tank. It's meant to be a gag, but it does kind of feel a little bit like a slap in the face to the story of the episode. I'm not super bothered by it, but I don't know. I'd probably be a little bit happier maybe if it was removed. I don't know. So I can see how that would hurt the episode for some. But also, the beginning of this episode is just awful. Just really awful. Oh, also, for some reason, yeah, the fun fact there, the title of the episode is from the needle stack in pre-hibernation week. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. Because it has to do with popping bubbles, I guess, but, like, there's no needle, like, what? It'd probably be more fitting if they had the hot sauce tongue from karate choppers. Speaking of karate, hey, karate. Yeah, this is I think the shortest review of this season, and I mean, it's just true. It's like, look, it's a karate episode. It has funny karate action. The only thing like to point out is really the karate master guy. That's the only thing that's, like, notable. And I don't mean that in, like, the episode is boring. I just mean that, like, it's good. It's just solid good for reasons I've already talked about. Hey, here's one of the longer titles. The Krabby Patty that ate Bikini Bottom. I was thinking about this after I made the video, how I say like, oh, you know, this show does really good when it does B movie plots. What was the first? What was one of the first, if not the very first? I guess I'd have to double check that. SpongeBob episodes. I was a teenage Gary. Something related to B movies. So, uh, I mean, I guess I could technically say that's something that the post movie does better than the pre movie. But you know, really thinking about it, there's a lot of episodes that do kind of take influence from kind of schlocky horror. Graveyard Shift is very similar to that. You know, it's got kind of has the slasher vibe that's like that kind of B movie. Um, and even SpongeBob watches like a cheesy horror movie in Crabborg where that I mean that plot isn't entirely I mean it's kind of a B movie, but it's not entirely. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that around SpongeBob, and outside of I Was a Teenage Gary, I think it pretty much always works. Almost always works anyway. Ugh, this one. You know, people kept telling me like, "Oh, you know, season 8 has more continuity than ever." And I mean, yeah, kind of, cuz it has this episode and it also has Glove World RIP. But like, ugh, man, this is just the worst. Like, I mean, not the worst episode, but this is just the worst way to do like continuity reboot. It's like not continuity reboot. It's worst way to do a remake in that it's like it's the stupid it's the stupid like halfway remakes that they've been doing lately in Hollywood. It's like the Powerpuff Girls reboot. It's like, well, this is a reboot. You know, it's the same continuity, but it's also just like an entirely different story. But at the same time, that's not connected to the first one. But at the same time, it's also like the exact same story, just told again, slightly differently. I still don't know why they didn't. Well, I would have called the episode "Son of Bubble Buddy," but I guess thinking about it realistically, calling it "Bubble Buddy Returns," it's just gonna get more people interested, you know? I was curious, like, even if I wasn't doing this, if I had heard that there was Bubble Buddy Returns, I would still, you know, seek out this episode and be like, oh, what's that like? And then probably be very disappointed and never watch SpongeBob again, except for the first 3 seasons. Okay, Restraining SpongeBob. Yep, another one that's just like, hey, good story. Wait, no, not actually good story, just good idea. Those lawyers are cool, but like I honestly have trouble remembering the rest of the episode. Just like thinking back to it. And by the way, this is being recorded not too long after the video came up and not too long after I last saw these episodes. But like, I remember the lawyers. I remember the horrifying accident that happened with Squidward where he turns into like a chicken nugget or something. Or I guess calamari would be more appropriate. I remember Patrick being annoying. That's about it. Also, it's not too pronounced, but the restraining order there is crossed out and it has Patrick Star written on it because that's what happened at the end of the episode. Fiasco. I'm surprised no one's actually really commented on this this fiasco that I made here. I did this one. Honestly, I wasn't sure what to do. I just kind of threw around a bunch of different like condiment looking colors. Put a little bevel on it to give it a little bit of 3-dimensionality. And after I was done, I was like, this doesn't look right. And so what I did was I basically just copied all the stuff that I had drawn on top of the plate and then rotated it a little bit and then like made a few alterations so it looked more random. And that made it look really good because it does look like totally random and totally weird. I don't know. I'm proud of it. I think I did a good job emulating the style. I guess if there's one thing I did like outside of the fiasco itself, I liked Squidward saying it's a fiasco. That line there where he's like it's a fiasco and Mr. Krabs is like don't get too dramatic or something like that. That was clever. Also, I thought it'd be funny. Well, I don't know, funny. I thought it'd be cool, a neat idea to have the SpongeBob of the fiasco just be a pile of Krabby Patties. You know what I mean? Like, I could have cracked the plate or put it in the bag or something, but, like, I don't know. I thought that'd be a play on how usually it's like the SpongeBob version is the stuff getting wrecked. Ugh, this episode. I don't want to talk about this episode anymore. Oh, I guess, you know, I could talk. I could. My fallback should be the fun fact because I rarely mention them in the videos themselves. past I think season 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, just for time reasons. But I can talk about it now. A Fiasco came back. That like it's so weird to see a SpongeBob character that you usually would be like a one-off come back. And I don't know about season 9, but in season 8, he comes back. This is the only time he comes back, so it's just weird. It's also weird because like he doesn't recognize Fiasco in the last episode, but in this one he knows who he is. I don't know. It's one of those weird those weird minor bits of continuity that if they aired these episodes out of order or whatever, I don't know, might cause a little bit of confusion. Not much. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here because I don't want to talk about Are You Happy Now? So the Murmurang there you have to look really closely, but it does have the little I don't even know what you'd really call them. A lot of things on SpongeBob or Mermaid Man related like have them. It's like little they look like little semicircles, but they're meant to emulate, I guess, a kind of texture or a kind of pattern, like a fish kind of pattern. I don't know. But at any rate, that's on there. You have to look really close. Again, that's one of those things where like I wasn't sure if I made it like just normal, like I just had them like normal opacity where they're just totally filled in, it would look too distracting because there's just too much pattern on it. When I have these little things that I write the text on, I can't have them have too much pattern. So I just made it a little more transparent, and I think it looks nice because if you look closely, you can tell it's there, and even if you don't look too closely, you can still kind of tell there's a little bit more than just a solid color going on there. Speaking of which, actually, when I was designing the rings, the little ring box and stuff, I actually had more effects on that. Like the rings were originally glowing, and the pattern on the not carpeting, but the felt or whatever it is that holds the rings in place, that was a little more pronounced. There was a little more to it, but I decided to simplify it up because I didn't want it to look too distracting or too detailed, especially not in comparison to the other things. And I didn't want it to distract from the text on it, basically. Planet of the Jellyfish. Speaking of transparency, actually, that jellyfish guy is a little transparent. Hard to tell when the background's a little on the solid side, but he is a little transparent there. Actually, something interesting that you can't see anymore, but I forgot to color in his teeth in that picture, but when I put it on there, the background was kind of whitish, so you can't tell, but now you can. I'm a hack. My only regret about this episode is I do wish that we had gotten more of an origin for this jellyfish thing. They could have easily have made a special about this. And I guess, I mean, next season they do a special on B-movie type story. Not going to talk about that, obviously, but they do that. And I wish that Planet of the Jellyfish is definitely one that deserved it. Like, Krabby Patty They Ate Bikini Bottom, I think, was a good length for what it was. I think it told its story well, but I think Planet of the Jellyfish could have used a little bit more of an introduction and like a little bit more of an ending of like what's gonna happen, and I don't know. This is one of those that the text fills up 3 lines there. Yeah, this was one of those episodes that I wasn't entirely sure like how I felt about it, and I watched it a few times and I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what, this episode just is really just kind of devoid of content. It's not that the story, look, there's a lot of SpongeBob episodes with simple stories. It's just the fact that there's nothing that really fills up the space. There's not like memorable set pieces. All I remember is just that there's the long sequences with the fish. And even like the ending of this episode, if you notice, it drags on. They'll do the thing where they'll like play the end of a song and like they'll zoom out and whatever, and it'll wrap up. This one actually like lingers a little bit on the ending there. Just like it's like they just didn't have enough material. Like you had to keep watching SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs making money angels. So yeah. And this was another one that I struggled with. I'm like, well, I kind of like this one, but it also is kind of similar to, Home Sweet Pineapple. So, but I think it just about balances out. The house drawings were I think came out really well by my artist. She actually drew them as 3 separate pictures, and I guess if I had a regret, I wish I had made them look a little bit more connected, with like little I guess like little dent type things in the main house there. The funny thing about those houses, or that house, is that the orb, it doesn't fit well in the orb because of the way the roof, and because of the rock, it fits awkwardly in there. I can't really center it unless I wanted to shrink it a little bit, but I wanted it to be as big as possible. You'll also see that text in there. I put that up there because like there's just so many times this season that I say like, oh, but it's not that funny, and I have to say it because like it wouldn't be a proper review unless I pointed that out, whether it was funny or not. But like, I guess I regret not coming up with more I don't know, more interesting ways to say the same thing, basically. All right, Karen 2.0. The text for numbers in this font that I use, which is Gil Sans Ultra Bold, which I paid for. I had to buy that font. It was originally free with whatever I was using, and then when I updated like my Adobe suite, eventually it went away, so I had to pay for it. Not expensive. Anyway, I didn't like the font for the numbers. I didn't think it looked well, like good for the title there. So I decided to go with a different font, and I think it works because it's like it's a computer type thing. Like the problem actually was the 0, because the 0 looked like a letter O, and it just, I don't know, it was weird. Also, people have commented that Karen 2.0's rear end seems a little too plentiful in this picture, and I have to tell you, go back and look at that original episode. My artist drew it exactly as they drew it. Blame them. In Sponge Yak. Let's see, what can I say about this episode? This episode has a really a title card that really grabs you. It's one of those SpongeBob close-up pictures that just really is like, wow, all right. Definitely gets your attention. I think there's someone out there that uses it as a thumbnail for one of their SpongeBob lists or something, and I keep seeing that in the YouTube, and I'm like, man, that's a good thumbnail, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, this is one of those episodes where Squidward's not in the episode, so I guess actually, no, Squidward is in the episode. Squidward is in the episode, but they still forgot to draw his house. It happens a few times. Maybe they didn't forget. Maybe it was intentional that they just wanted the space between SpongeBob and Patrick's to be shorter. I don't know. Either way, it's weird. It's just weird. Let's see. Again, this is another one that I understand. I understand why people might not like Patrick in here, but I enjoy his behavior. It's a like it or hate it type thing. Let's see. Yeah, the ending of this episode is stupid though. Like, SpongeBob can cry, and it makes the perfect dispenser, even though he's wasting tons of mustard. It's so like obtuse for what the episode is actually about. I don't know how you'd really wrap this sort of thing up. But this is definitely not the way that I would have picked it. Face freeze. So that picture there, that one was actually drawn by me. Rather traced by me. I did trace that. That's one of the faces Patrick makes. I tried to make it look like the PyCon. That's actually one of the faces that I like more than the others, I guess, is how I'd say that. I think it's one of the better looking faces, I suppose. Just because of how like weird and obtuse it is. So I decided to copy that for the good version, and I knew the SpongeBob. I asked people on Twitter, I'm like, what's the most like disturbing weird face in the episode? And a lot of people sent me the Mr. Krabs one, so that's what I ended up rolling with. And it looks even freakier when it's like skin tone. So there you go. My artist drew the other one. Although I traced this one, she definitely drew that. I guess I could talk about like, if you notice that starting in season, I think 6. The words SpongeBob and episode have been split up a little bit and kind of angled differently, and the reason for that is ultimately because I like to, obviously I can't cover up where the PyCon's gonna be, but I also like to not cover up where the picture is. Sometimes I just cover it up, or I have to cover part of it up or whatever, but like in general I like to preserve it, especially if it, well, definitely when it's a SpongeBob, because I need to show you the alternate there. So that's why it's just a better fit, just where all the information is. And I try not to have it cover the header that much. So yeah. Glove World R.I.P. So sad. Yeah, this is another one of those where I came away from the episode and I'm like, how do I really feel about this? I'm like, I don't really know. And then I watched it a few more times and I'm like, this is just boring. Like, I'm bored. I just don't care. And it's not just because I know the ending. It's also just because I find it to be repetitive. But again, I can totally, like, if you like the jokes about all the stuff at the amusement park, I can totally see how someone would like this. But I just think it's really, really just kind of light on a lot of things. Unfortunately. Definitely. Oh, I one of the interesting things about this hand here is that I was thinking, like, what can I do with the glove picture? I'm like, well, I could do the middle finger, and I'm like, that might be a little inappropriate. So I decided to do the thumb down, but I was trying to figure out how the thumb down would, like, physically work, and so I figured out that, like, if the face part was facing away, the thumb could be down, and I don't know. I flipped it anyway. You don't care. Squiditis. I tweeted this out at one point, but there's a SpongeBob's talking about, like, sad movies or romantic comedies, and he's like, something like, I know it's supposed to be funny, but I cry every time, or something like that. And I tweeted that out because it's like, yeah, that's how I feel about the SpongeBob episodes. It's supposed to be funny, but it's painful. Demolition Doofus. This was another one that was 3 lines of description because I knew I had to add the whole death thing. It's just such a bad creative decision. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sure whoever created this thought it was funny or thought it was, like, the best thing for the character, but I have to strongly disagree. Yeah. And I couldn't even come up with a fun fact for this. I really, like, couldn't. So the only thing I could come up with was that there's a book made about this. It's like a picture book or something. I don't know. That was thanks to the SpongeBob Encyclopedia SpongeBobia, or the SpongeBob Wikia, or whatever they're calling themselves now. Also, it's really small, but at the beginning there, when SpongeBob accidentally helps Squidward with the garden, that is a good moment, because Squidward, like, is about to be upset, and he realizes that SpongeBob helped him by getting all his fruit into his basket, or vegetables, I should say. That was cool. Like, I was just like, oh, that's like a funny little weird joke. I wish it had been in a better episode. I wasn't quite sure what to do with the car because it doesn't really get wrecked in the episode, believe it or not. It starts out kind of wrecked. So I just kind of scrunched it like you put it through like a compactor. I don't really have much else to say about Demolition Doofus. It's like it has the problems of SpongeBob and Mrs. Puff. SpongeBob being insensitive, Mrs. Puff being a murderer or an attempt at murder or whatever. And it has the ending problem. And, like, that's all you can really say. Like, it's not like one of those things that you can really deeply analyze it. It's just like they're acting in ways that are just not good for their characters and just really unpleasant in general. Treats. Yeah, I wanted to like this episode. Gary's middle name is Wilson. I had to actually check to see if that had ever been revealed anywhere else, and I don't think that it had. I kind of wonder what that's a reference to, if it is anything. I guess maybe not. The only Wilson I can think of is isn't that the name of the ball from Castaway? Also, the name of the neighbor on Home Improvement. I'm sure it's not referencing either of those things. Maybe it's referencing Woodrow Wilson. Probably not. But yeah, I could definitely give Treats the credit that it is actually a different story with Gary. That's thumbs up on that. This I don't understand why there's no question mark in the title, and I don't understand why the title is the title anyway. The title should be something like I don't know, winners can't be choosers or something like that, I don't know. Or like Plankton hits the lottery or something like cuz for Hero to Go it doesn't make it's about the solution to the episode, but at the same time it's also not, because it's not like Mr. Krabs asks if he would like it for Hero to Go. It's a silly title. Hey, it's a SpongeBob Christmas. I love this episode. Decided to include the CBS air date too, just for funsies. Another fun fact about this is that it's one of the few episodes to ever air in December. I mean, technically, or to premiere in December. Technically, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, maybe it doesn't premiere in December. Maybe it is just the November thanks to CBS, but whatever. Not many episodes premiere in December because it's usually made room for holiday time and time for hiatuses and stuff. But yes, these clay sculptures, those were made by Erin, my artist. And I thank her so much. That was a relatively late addition. I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. Um, but and I didn't want to ask it of her because it felt like it'd be too much. But she willingly volunteered, and I think the pineapple especially looks really good. The patty mobile, not the patty mobile, the fruitcake mobile looks really good. Yeah. The interesting thing about that actually, there is a drawing of that, and it's colored and everything. I was just originally gonna go with that. Because again, the clay stuff came pretty late, and so she volunteered to do that as well. Or actually, at that point, because all of the other things were clay, it looked weird to have the actual picture be drawn. So she did that. Yeah. What else can I say about this episode? You know, I think I've really said it all. It really is a very special episode. And you know, I think a part of it is just that the people that made it, you know, obviously, like, you know, it was still written by the same people, but like the people who actually physically made it were different from the core crew. So it did allow a little bit of like just a fresh take on SpongeBob, which I think was very sorely needed in season 8. And like I say at the end, you know, oh, the Santa hat covered up the fun fact there. Like I say at the end, you know, season 8 doesn't really take too many risks, but when it does, like this episode, I think it really, really pays off. And I did watch this. I genuinely watched this like a few extra times in the making of this season just for fun. Like I wanted to this is one that I did show my artist because I was like, it's awesome. Like just watch it with me. The mail truck is not clay because that'd just be too much. I didn't ask that of her. It's way too detailed, and it was getting late in the production, and the patchy slide isn't on the screen for too long. I also couldn't think of a fun fact for this, so I just kind of went with the Potty's feathers randomly move because it's the way they do the stop motion, you know, they blow around a little. Super evil wasted potential is go. I was looking forward to this episode so much. I do like SpongeBob's going to work song though. That definitely it definitely fits in that as the highlight. I don't understand the creative choices of this episode. It's just bizarre what they chose to focus on instead of what actually happens. Pretty happy with how that lighting effect came out there on the signal. I think it looks pretty good. Just a it's a gradient that goes from solid to like not solid. Solid to invisible, I should say. And it's semi-transparent. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that, Batman. What was that accent? Okay. Was I doing like Sean Connery as the Penguin? I don't know. But there are many other team-ups that I would much rather watch than this one. It's also weird that this one is placed right back to back with Chum Fricassee. I don't know. I guess one of the ideas that I had that I never quite actually went through with was maybe making some sort of PyCon that actually like blew into the conch there. It's not the magic conch; it's a different conch. I thought that could have been a cool idea, but I didn't have the time. Didn't really think about it towards the end. Whatever. I really thought this episode was pronounced Chumfresh until yeah. And I assume it's a play on Fresh, just how like weirdly spelled and weirdly pronounced that word is. I do regret in the review, I think I say a few times that like it's good that Squidward has some success. I think I say it like 3 times that it's like, I should have cut some of that back. That's another thing. It's just because there's so many episodes to juggle. I do review the audio many, many times and approve it and stuff, but there's just so much to go through that unfortunately just a few things like that slip through the cracks, and I just kind of have to accept them when it comes to a video this big. But hopefully that'll be remedied when it comes to season 9A and 9B, because I'll be working with shorter shorter amount of episodes at a time, so less mistakes will be made. If you notice so this was another picture that I made in Photoshop. And if you notice the easel type thing there, the little stand, that's actually the stand from oh man, some other episode. I think A Day Without Tears? Maybe? I don't know. Go look it up for yourself, kids. Bonus points if you get it right and I didn't. We'll play against each other here. Yeah, it's another one that just didn't leave an impression on me. It really didn't. And I think that if I had to take a guess, it's just some of these episodes towards the end of production, usually not the very last one, but some of the ones towards the end of production really kind of are light on substance. Because I think it's probably because these are the ones worked on later, so the writers and everyone were just kind of running out of steam. These were the ones closer to the deadline or whatever. I don't know intimately the details of how SpongeBob is made, but these are assumptions I can make based upon what I know about how other shows are made. This is a good title. Much like Plankton's Good Eye. It's just a clever title, even though technically no one had to lose it. All right, here we go. Hello, Bikini Bottom. I'm pretty proud of this slide layout too. This is one that I came up with. I just kind of had inspiration. I'm like, what if it's just like music, like what are they called? Wow, a sheet music. There you go. What if it looks like that? And I tried to just make it look like that as possible. Like the title would be like the title of the song. The the episode number is the beats per minute, which that would be a lot of beats per minute. It'd be a very fast song. I think that's what that means, beats per minute. Oh gosh, my lack of musical knowledge is showing. And I think the tempo there would be 43/47, which was probably not a good tempo, but that's the episode number. I couldn't come up with a clever way to fit that in. October 8th, 2012 is kind of like the, I don't know, the signature or whatever. I don't know. You look at sheet music, you'll see the similarities. And where the picture is, it's supposed to be a rest. There's another boatmobile that my artist had to draw. Although this one's a busmobile, I guess. But yeah, that's supposed to be a rest, and I decided to do them colorful because I'm like, I don't want this whole thing to look like black and white. That wouldn't look very good. So added a little bit of flair to it, and it just fits with like the groovy nature of Hello Bikini Bottom. Which also, if you think about it in a different context, that title is incredibly rude. Some people also just randomly, some people don't like the way the eyes look in this font, and I can kind of understand where people are coming from. It's definitely the weirdest thing in the font. I had already settled into the font years ago before I even saw that, and I guess technically I could change it myself. Oh, yeah, there's a spelling error. That's not how Triton is spelled, and I should have known that and fixed that. Oh, well. Let's see. I also like how the space between good and episode is just like perfectly fit that little line in there. And see, I took great care to make sure so you could still see the picture and stuff. This is also, I believe, the only slide where my PyCon is facing the other way. I think maybe some of the other specials. No, I think this is the only one. So yeah, so there you go. I also at the end there I screw up and I put I meant to put this face in all the post stuff. I meant to put it facing the way it faces in all the slides except for that one, like that. I meant to have them all like that, but I screw up and some of them later ones are the other way. I decided to do something different there instead of having them slide backwards. I just kind of really quickly went through them. I thought, I don't know, maybe having them be full screen as they kind of flashed would be a little bit too much on the eyes. And look at this. Look, like how do you like coming away from the season, I was like, you know what, this really feels like a meh. And then just seeing those stats, I was just dumbfounded. Here's the season slide right there. And there's that, fun fact. I actually accidentally made the slide say SpongeBob season when it was like always planned to be a meh. As soon as I knew I'd been done with the season, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a meh. Yeah, like I was maybe considering SpongeBob at one point, but like that was just a total mistake on my part, and I almost just accidentally let it slip through. Like, I would have still said meh, but it had SpongeBob on the screen. Oh, it would have been bad. I definitely would have caught that though, no matter what. Um, and here's some of these. If I had a little more time, I would have maybe made a more exhaustive list of all of these things. But those are just kind of 4 examples of each category I mentioned. And those were actually a very late addition. I added those even after the Patreon day before upload. Those were, since I was fixing things, I was like, I might as well throw them in since I had the idea. And yeah, man, look at that. We're definitely improving. You know, I definitely say so. Look, you can see more good episodes, less SpongeBob episodes. And then yeah, it's best to probably look at the pie charts themselves when it comes to comparing it to the earlier seasons, just because of the number of episodes being so radically different. Although season 5 is weird because of the 3 shorts thing. But yeah, looking at season 4, there's almost as many good episodes as season 4, but like look how much more of the chart that season 4 takes up, because there's less episodes overall. And there's a lot less SpongeBob episodes and a few less meh episodes in season 4. And yeah, I do truly think that season 8 is probably worse than both of these, but I'd still have to rewatch them and, like, you know, really analyze it, and I'll probably answer that question someday. Yeah, so my little spiel with the top and bottom 5s that I probably should have said in the video, but you know, these are just gut reactions. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I'll go over it again. These are just kind of gut reactions, and they're subject to change. And they probably will. Like, I think these are like the 5 best episodes. But in terms of exactly where their order is, maybe I'd order them a little different. I'm a little, like, I think I have an easier time making the top 5 than the bottom 5. I'm pretty cool with this top 5. Bottom 5, I might switch around a few things. But yeah, also something I did whenever I revealed each one of these, I had a little bit of the SpongeBob effect show up on screen, so a little bit of the gas show up. Not much, not really too much that it's even that noticeable, but it's there. It's probably there. Yeah, it's definitely there. I was just making sure because I didn't really notice. Oh gosh, that face is horrifying. Oh, skin tone. It's just really horrifying. Yeah. I guess I can kind of justify the SpongeBob transition being a little like less intensive in that it is a mess season. But I do agree that this SpongeBob transition could have been a little bit more interesting visually. Or just just a little bit more. And I promise I'm fixing that with season 9. 9A, and yeah. So yeah, here's the notes, because I basically talked about all of the important things I really want to talk about when it came to the actual rating, stuff like that. A lot of good ideas, but not so great stories and stuff. I talked about it there, so the notes were mostly filled with just kind of just interesting things I pointed out, or not so interesting things, mildly amusing things I pointed out, I guess. The music, though, that's a pretty big note, and it seems like a lot of people agree with me, and a lot of people have said it, is just that there seems to be more repetitive music. They seem to use less of the earlier seasons' music. Like, one of the weird things I noticed was that, like, I'd watch like the first 11 minutes of the 22-minute episode, and it would end with a song, and then I'd watch the title card of the next episode, and it would be the exact same song. Like, they ended the same one, and I don't know, maybe the iTunes version I had, those 2 episodes weren't paired up exactly the same in like the aired version or whatever. But it's still like really just odd that they played the music that much that it ended up lining up like that. So yes, so here is the credits, and I will thank all of these people and websites and such. But also, yes, thank you to the Patreon people. You guys made this video happen. So everyone give a big thanks to all these people. If you'd like to donate, just go on there, and if we hit this goal again, I will do a commentary for Season 9A, and then if we hit it after that, I will also do it for 9B. So if you like this commentary and you want to see another one, please donate. And with that, PIEGUYRULZ, out.